Hi, this is Sarah Lacy, backstage at TechCrunch Disrupt with Jay Rosen. Now, I just had Nora Ephron on the couch before you. You know, again, two people I didn't necessarily think would be at a Disrupt conference. I think it says something about the New York scene. And you started out by the panel you were just on by saying, you know, it's not the next Silicon Valley. It's sort of that overstates what New York is, and it also doesn't quite count what New York has to offer. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I don't think New York is a technology capital, it's a creativity capital. And the density of the city, the fact that Manhattan isn't getting any bigger, so it has to grow up, right, which increases human interaction. The fact that the creative industries are headquartered here, and that New York is such a magical destination for ambitious people.
Right.
It's the combination of technology and that which I think is really important. And so rather than ask, is New York, you know, duplicating all the institutions you see in Silicon Valley, which I don't think is going to happen, we should be looking at that intersection more and for signs of life there. And I think there are a lot of them.
So how do you look at what's gone on in the last couple years in the startup scene here and, you know, kind of separate the froth from, yeah, these are legitimately some exciting companies started. Are you worried about the hype? Do you think there will be billion-dollar tech companies coming out of this wave?
I don't know. I mean, I don't concentrate on the handful of companies that become these brand names. I think that's a misleading way of looking at it. I'm much more interested in the startup culture and the way it reaches down to the people that I know really well, like students.
Right.
You know, and for example, in NYU Business School, there isn't a strong startup culture, and the reason is that everyone wants to go and work for Wall Street, these established institutions that have been there, you know, forever. And it's hard actually to get those students, who are many of whom are very smart, very good, focused on startups, because the risk of that is huge, right? So, and actually the people who do end up going in that direction don't come from the business school. They come from other quirker areas of the university. But what is positive is, with things like New York Tech Meetup, groups like Hacks and Hackers, Ignite events, there's starting to be a culture of people around the startup scene. And I think that is really important. And the reason it's so important is that it's a relatively open culture. Coming here knowing nobody, having no Fred Wilson connections, having no money, living out in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever, you can go to the tech meetup. Right.
And I mean, that's core of why Silicon Valley beat Boston, because of the openness of the culture.
Yeah, and that's important.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Jay, so much for joining us here at Disrupt. And
My pleasure.
now we are going to go to my earlier interview with Dennis Crowley of Foursquare.